Studios are not gonna throw millions of dollars at a production budget on a movie that nobody's gonna go see. So of course you don't see Warner Brothers doing that, because that would be stupid. Welcome back to the channel, friends, and to another Harley Quinn Birds of Prey box office discussion video. So in the last Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn video that I did, I talked about how Birds of Prey is losing money at the box office. And that was after 3 weekends in. It's now been 5 weekends in, so we'll talk about what the numbers look like now, as well as bring in some special guests from the comments. 3 of you in particular had interesting things to say about the numbers, so we'll talk about that, but let's jump right into this. So in the last video, we talked about how Box Office Pro's estimates for the break-even point was around $235 million. With a production budget of $84.5 million, that puts the marketing budget around $150.5 million. I also explained how that is not an unreasonable number, considering Joker had a marketing budget, or a reported marketing budget, of around $120 million, while Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice had a reported marketing budget of $165 million. So 150.5 lands right in between those two Warner Brothers superhero films and their marketing budgets. So at the time of recording the last video, the worldwide box office numbers for Harley Quinn Birds of Prey sat at $173,729,015. Then to simplify my point, I took the domestic numbers for that week, which included President's Day, so inflated numbers, that I would still have to hit those numbers week after week for 5 weeks straight without any drop off, just to break even, based on the Box Office Pro numbers. The kind of cool thing is that I also explained what it would be like if we took the international numbers into account, with what was at the time a 50% drop-off week after week and a 42% domestic to international ratio. Now based on that, my projection for the following 2 weeks was 23,473,704, which if we add to the original number of 173,729,015, puts my projection at 197,202,179, which puts it pretty goddamn close to the current number of 196,671,910. Nah, that includes Monday, which adds like 230 something thousand to it, but god damn it, I was close. Now cheer for me. Give me a golf clap even.
Golf clap.
But now we bring in our special guests, you, the commenters, the first one being the dumbest of the 3, obviously. Because you gotta start out strong, you know what I mean? So a lot of people took issue with me saying production budget times 2 to find out what the break-even point is, but a lot of movies don't have high marketing budgets unless they're DC or Warner Brothers or some big production like this. So a lot of the time it's closer than 2.5 or 3 that I saw in a lot of the comments, but I get where you're coming from. But then there's this guy. It has to make $290 million to break even. Times 2 is never right, dummy. The box office keeps 50%. Why is this so hard for people to understand? Why is it so hard, damn it? Ooh, that's what she said. Anyway, production budget times 3. It's not hard. People who can't do simple math are embarrassing. Oh god. No. What I've learned in life is that when you're trying to attack with a logical argument, throwing out insults to the other person's intelligence actually devalues your argument, because it makes it seem like you don't believe enough in your argument for it to stand on its own. So what ends up happening is that any valid arguments you possibly made, invalidated by essentially what is your douchebaggery, and you just end up looking silly. And what makes this comment so fucking funny to me is how he ends with, people who can't do simple math are embarrassing. Because I did do correct math. You know what I mean? So this is akin to someone saying like 2 + 2 = 4. And then this genius comes around and is like, no, 3 + 2 = 5, damn it. Learn to math. Alright, thank you for that comment, nice try, it was very entertaining. Next one is from Andrew187, you're counting the way SJWs do. Fuck you too then, I'm just kidding. The studio isn't getting 100% of box office, so the marketing plus production budget isn't the break-even number. That's why Variety is assuming $300 million as the break-even, assuming that there wasn't that big of an advertising budget. They're assuming cost of production and marketing is $150 million to hit that. If you're correct that marketing's $150 million, which isn't unreasonable if Joker was $120 million, since the studio had low faith in that movie and a lot more in Harley, at least until they saw the mess that got handed in and ordered rewrites, reshoots, and tried to salvage the action scenes, then the cost is $235 million. If that's the cost, break-even is $470 million since studios basically get 50% of the ticket sales. It gets more complicated. Studios get a bigger return domestically than internationally too, and the slice changes the longer the movie is in theaters too. Very solid points, see? And we'll read the third comment before I give my points on all of this. Why does everyone forget to take the 20 to 30% take the theaters keep into consideration? They don't keep every dollar that's made in the theaters. If the film had a production budget of $100 million, add 30% to that, which is $130 million, then add marketing costs, probably $80 to $100 million considering it had Super Bowl marketing, which brings the break-even point to somewhere between $210 to $230 million. So I really added that last comment because he specified that there was Super Bowl marketing. I didn't even know that, but that makes the marketing budget make a lot more sense. Now the problem with all of this is that there's conflicting information with how much do the movie studios keep and how much do the movie theaters keep. First two comments said 50%, the last comment said 20 to 30%. I read something a long time ago that said that the movie studios kept 100% of the ticket sales for the first 2 months, and that's why the concessions are all expensive as shit. And I'm sure the reality is a mixture of all of these things. Certain movie theaters probably keep 20, some keep 40, yada yada yada, right? And I'm sure even that last thing I said is true to an extent. Maybe certain theaters keep the ticket prices really low, they jack concessions up. In those cases, the movie studios probably do keep around 90 to 100% of the ticket sales, at least for the first 2 months. Either way, the film needs $235 million after costs in order to break even. So with that, we can just do a range from one end to the other, right? So on one end, the studio keeps all of the money from ticket sales for the first 2 months, and the other end where the studio keeps 50% regardless. That means the film needs to generate $235 to $470 million in the box office in order to break even. So if it all ended right now, if it just stopped showing in theaters, it would lose $38 million to $273 million at the box office. It's probably safer to assume the former, but with this get woke, go broke bullshit, I hope it's the latter. I hope they learn their goddamn lesson and they learn it hard. I hope they lose $200-something million at the box office. Anyway, the movie is not doing good. It's not doing good by any means. These numbers are a fucking disaster for Warner Brothers and DC. I mean, whatever happened to that hashtag reasons to support BOP? Hashtag reasons to support BOP is trending because Birds of Prey deserves better. If you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing with your life? Much better things, Chelsea. Also, I find it funny when people say things are trending like hashtags on Twitter because that's specific to people. Like, if it's trending for you, it's probably not trending for me necessarily, but whatever. Hashtag reasons to support BOP. Directed by an Asian woman! LGBT representation. Diversity! Margot Robbie worked so hard to make this film happen, chose the characters herself, had control over the music, and did immense research purely because Harley is her baby. That's admirable. Is it? And these are reasons to watch this fucking movie? Not like the cinematography was excellent, the screenplay, it was top notch from beginning to end. Characters are well fleshed out, all have story arcs from beginning to end, all three-dimensional characters. It will take you on a roller coaster of emotions, there's a plot twist that you'll never see coming. Nah, none of that shit. Asian woman, alphabet people, and my diversity. Gotta be fucking kidding me. And then there's this whole thing, everybody's talked about it, but there's this whole thing about how Cathy Ann pitched this Birds of Prey film to Warner Brothers. As a matter of fact, she wanted to, in her own words, make girls want to smash the patriarchy and display the worst of modern womanhood. Yan, who only directed one other movie before being hired for Birds of Prey, detailed in a new interview with The New Yorker how she pitched the film to Warner Brothers. I put together a sizzle reel, but it was not your typical sizzle reel. Yan's reel played to the tune of a remixed versions of Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, a song Harley sings in the movie, just as Marilyn Monroe was in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. She stated, like scenes from Bachelor Proposals, the De Beers Diamond commercial, Kim Kardashian's vampire facial, Fox News anchors talking about women, Trump saying grab 'em by the pussy, stuff that might make a girl want to smash the patriarchy. After I showed the video, there was just silence. I'm sure there was. Fuck, I applaud all of them for being able to stay silent. I would have been laughing my ass off. I mean, Jesus Christ, if you want to know why this film is hot garbage, that's why, Emily. That's why. That's all it takes to pitch a fucking movie nowadays. Come on. Well, shit, I might as well pitch my own movie. But before that, make sure to let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. Obviously, I do check them from time to time, as you can see in this video. Like, share, subscribe, ring that notification bell because that's the best way to stay alerted every time I put out another video. Here's my sizzle reel.
Manspreading is when a man spreads his physical body to take up as much space as humanly possible.
All white people are racist. So I put this up because I really want any white person in the room to know up front that this is what we're dealing with, that it's not going to be this coddling of white tears and what that looks like. We're not going to discuss, oh, maybe some of us have worked it out. No, you're always going to be racist, actually.
There it was. There I was thinking it was just me that had a problem, but it turns out it's the air conditioning that's sexist.
I know.
Now give me a movie.